I often talk about a very common problem. Many players don't clearly distinguish between looping and hitting. This leads to several issues. First, the hitting motion is slightly too big, but still a bit smaller than loop motion. There isn't enough spin. And there isn't enough speed either. At the moment, many players have this problem. So today, we're going to clearly separate them. What is a drive? And what is a loop? This is something we must first understand. A drive hit is played close to the table, mainly using the forearm. The swing framework is relatively small. As for looping, many players stand too close to the table when they make a bigger swing. They can't catch up to the ball, or it goes long. As a result, they reduce the swing size, and then there's no spin at all. You must leave at least one upper arm's distance when playing a forehand topspin loop. For taller players, about 1 meter is appropriate. The second difference is that when hitting, you don't need a large body rotation. When looping, the feet, legs, hips, and waist all rotate together. The range of motion should be at least about twice as large. The body drives the arm to execute the loop, so the body movement must be fully engaged. You must focus on coordinated power from the body. Now for the difference in arm action. Drive hit mainly uses the forearm, while looping pulls the racket back behind the body. At contact, the racket moves forward and upward. The whole motion follows an outward arc. For hitting, the backswing stays at the side of the body. For looping, it goes further behind the body. When looping, the upper arm and the shoulder are both involved in the backswing. At this moment, the left shoulder is pointing forward. Both shoulders are not facing forward together, so we open up the body. The leg drive, rotation, and hip thrust drive the arm to generate power forward and upward. The third difference is friction. Hitting is a power-driven stroke, with the wrist locked and not moving. Looping requires wrist movement. At the moment of contact, the wrist must rotate. This is a major difference between the two. Many players add some friction when hitting, but don't use the wrist when looping. This prevents both strokes from showing their specific abilities. So when looping, focus more on the feeling of brushing the ball. When hitting, keep the wrist locked. Smaller motion but more faster. After understanding the differences, let's talk about forehand topspin drills. If two players are practicing together, one can block with either backhand or forehand to give you a fixed point drill. Don't stand too close. Do not use full power. Use about 40 to 50% strength. Because once you hit hard, the speed increases too much. When you're learning, don't increase the difficulty unnecessarily. Don't rush it, don't hit too hard, so it doesn't put such high demands on your partner. Make sure the movement is stable and the framework is correct. For multiple training, if someone is feeding multiple or using a ball machine, we can use this method. Still don't rush. Pay attention to the recovery. Also, do not use power. That means focusing on the body movement and exaggerating the brushing motion with the hand. Never rush to use power. So how do we train the feeling of brushing? Move back to mid to far distance from the table. Fully rotate the wrist, rotate it well. Use the wrist to drive the forearm to rotate. Make sure you really brush the ball. Absolutely do not use power. So when we move farther from the table, the ball speed becomes slower. This allows me to fully feel the brushing action and build a basic touch. Then, if it's rally practice, set the timing to the early falling phase. Don't use power good. Let the wrist drive the forearm good. Whether it's single ball or multiple, we step back a bit and use the wrist to experience the brushing feeling more. Once this brushing touch is well developed, then we move back to a normal position. At that point, we will have both brushing feel and ball control. Forehand looping. One major difficulty is that our body movements start to become larger, and we begin to demand more coordinated power from the body. So these body movements often trouble us. This is a key point when progressing from driving to looping. First, we must ensure proper distance from the table, so you have enough time to rotate your body. You may feel a very uncoordinated force from your feet. A common mistake is having your weight on the left during the backswing and ending up on the right after the shot. It should be on the right during the backswing. Then drive forward when striking the ball and let the left side lock the power. Another weight transfer mistake is moving everything to the right together, then everything to the left together. Weight must be transferred to create coordinated body power. At first, body rotation feels rushed because we're not skilled yet. So we shouldn't start with ball drills. With my weight on the forefoot, engage the core and lean slightly forward. The back heel is slightly raised. Then rotate using the front forefoot, turning toward the right side, then toward the right front, and then rotate forward. During rotation, about 70% of the weight is on the right leg. The left heel is lifted. At the moment of contact, the right leg begins to rotate and push. The back heel lifts, the left foot plants firmly. These two alternate in rotation. Always use the feet to drive the knees. The knees drive the hips, and the hips drive the waist. As for the upper body, it applies force in the same direction, so it can coordinate with the arm movement. You should first train coordination. Get every joint moving. Don't rotate the legs without rotating the feet. Or rotate the feet while the upper body stays still. They must rotate together. First, coordinate the arm with the body. Once this movement becomes familiar, you can hold the racket and do shadow practice without hitting the ball. When you move to ball training, it will feel much more coordinated. When body movements aren't correct, you must strengthen off-table lower body drills. If you jump straight into ball training, your movement may never become coordinated. We must break practice into simple, segmented drills to solve the problem of weak forehand power. In matches, it's clearly an opportunity, but you still can't finish the point or produce enough quality. The main reasons are these two. First, the forearm and upper arm are not clearly separated. There's too much elbow and shoulder pulling, instead of accelerating outward with friction. Second, the arm is not fully snapped, or the arm is closed after contact. Both lead to the same problem. The acceleration comes from accelerating the arm closure, executing the movement correctly, and using the correct contact point to create quality. When looping, never pull the shoulder or elbow backward. Fully open the forearm. The wrist is lower than the forearm. The forearm is lower than the upper arm. Fully extended. Only then do you have space to close the arm. Open, then close. Not this kind of backswing. Record yourself more when you play. Film from behind or from the side to check if you're using this kind of backswing. Many players are afraid the ball will go long, so they hesitate to accelerate the arm. After contact, the swing must rise slightly. You can't just drive straight forward. The arm must close completely, even when you apply force like this. As long as you brush the ball properly, the ball won't go out. So when trying to improve loop quality, make sure to avoid these two mistakes. If your arm closure feels slow, you can buy a resistance band to practice. Do acceleration drills for the arm recovery. Increase the speed of the arm.